Greetings and welcome to the channel. Hope everybody is doing well. So this is a follow-up to a video I did about 2 weeks ago where I was talking about Lee. So I'm going to have chapters in this video, so if you want to skip this monologue, feel free to do so if you want to get straight to the gameplay. But I just want to say that the main reason why I even bothered to use this character is because so many people in the Tekken 8 community, you know, seem to feel he's like the worst character in creation. I mean, it's pretty bad. You know, a lot of people feel that he's the worst character in the game. Personally, I don't main the character. My Tekken history is linked to Lee Chaolan. I was curious to see what are some people's issues with this character. So I made the video 2 weeks ago, and you know, I did make a mistake in that one video where I forgot to mention that down 3 on counter hit is able to pick up for a combo. I forgot about that. It's been a long time since I've played an elite Lee player. Since then, I have spent a little bit more time in the lab. I came across a couple of different moves I like. So I want to just kind of share those and address a couple of the issues that I'm aware of when using Lee. So hopefully, if this is your first time here, consider subscribing, and let's get after it. So the first thing I want to talk about are some of Lee's pokes. Now this is not going to be an exhaustive list because I don't know every single nook and cranny with the character, and also even if I did, I don't want this to turn into like a 2-hour video. So it's just a couple of the generic pokes that basically most of the cast has and what you can do with them. So let's say standing 1-2, if your opponent is mashing like this, you can elect to go for just your high crush, your down 3, and then from there, you know, you can go, you know, pick them up off the ground for a full combo. You know, you can do that. You can do Hitman 4, so you have your options there. The same thing applies to down forward 1, down back 3, you know, so you definitely have those options. Another thing that you can do is just simply sidestep. You can just sidestep off the track. Down forward 1, you sidestep. You just punish your opponent with a down forward 2 uppercut, which is safe on block, by the way. So you can just simply just do standing 1, sidestep, down forward 2, standing 1, sidestep, up forward 4, standing 1, up forward 3, 4 for a full combo if you want. So whatever combo you want to add into that. So there's different options, you know what I'm saying? So just landing an attack on your opponent's guard is enough to kind of gauge what kind of reaction they're going to do. Because if they're the type to just mash out like this, then, you know, you should make short work of these guys, 100%. But if they're not prone to retaliate, you know, to press back, you know, to attack you back, then now you can start to plan your next series of moves. Maybe you could just go for another standing 1, or maybe go for a grab. Maybe you can go for like a slower base move to kind of get plus frames. Whatever you want to do, you have to start from your general pokes. Like that's what you just have to go and do that, you know. Now, of course, Lee has many other pokes, but I think standing 1, 1-2, down forward 1, down 3, use very wisely because that can get you launch punished. And I do want to say about this back 3-3 move, this is one of those moves that people in the community have had an issue with. Personally speaking, I don't think this is a good low. I feel that down back 3 for Lee is a much better low overall for him because this low attack is only -12 on block. So let me just show you. This move is only -12. You know, so the type of punish that you're going to get from -12 is going to be vastly different than a -15. You know, so, you know, or something like this. Let me just take Kazuya off a punish. So let's say if Kazuya just were to duck. That high kick, I'm completely open. I'm completely open to like the most damaging thing your character can do to you. So to me, this move is it's not worth the risk of just simply getting 18 damage and +4 advantage. It's not worth it. So you might as well just be, you know, just use down back 3 with Lee, and then as I showed you with the jabs, down back 3 with Lee, high crush, The sidestep launch. You know, so you have options. You know, but I just don't think that back 3-3 is worth doing, in my opinion. So I would definitely say, in terms of like your general pokes, definitely implement down back 3 into your game with Lee. It'll definitely pay dividends, because this character is not designed to beat you with low attacks. It's not designed to do that. Lee is designed to get you to press buttons on him so that he can make you miss, make you pay. That's what Lee's game is, coupled with some rush down aspects. But that's pretty much what Lee's game has always been, honestly. Yeah, you can play him in a defensive way by utilizing, say, you know, back four, which is one of the best panic moves in the game for like the last 15, 20 years. And no, a panic move does not need to have evasion. It can help, but it doesn't need evasion to be a strong panic move. So anyway, moving on to another move I really do like is Lee's homing attack, actually. This move is a mid, it tracks, it's only -1. It does come out at 21 frames. On regular hit, it does 20 damage, and you are +3. Also, on counter hit, this is where this move really shines. You get a full combo. Full combo. So when you talk about risk versus reward, this move is basically all reward. I don't see any risk for this move. None. If your opponent blocks it, it doesn't matter. What are they going to do? They're going to block this move and do what? You just sidestep and launch them. They go to mash? Okay. No problem. Let me see if I can step to the over. Can I time this one? This might be a little tougher to time. There we go. So for them trying to punish this move is pointless. And also, you know, I can also do the attack reversal. I know a lot of League players don't use it for whatever reason, but when you're, I think, at -5, let me see. Yeah, when you're at -5, you might be able to get it at -6, but I forget what his -6 move is. Maybe it'll come to me in the video, but I know this is -5, and it's worth doing. You know, this is solid damage. That's what, 42 damage if it was a counter. But I don't know how to even. I don't even know if that would even count as a counter in normal play. But in normally, 35 damage. That's a sizable chunk. So 2 of these, you've already taken 70 damage from your opponent. You know, so that's very strong. But if you don't want to use that, that's fine. You know, you have other options. I'm just kind of showing that in the video. Getting back to standing 1+2, when you choose to go into Hitman from that move, you are now +2, and you can also block in Hitman. Well, in this situation. So there really is no risk, honestly. Now, if the opponent is still mashing like this, Hitman, you sidestep, and you can go in situations like this, right? You can do sidestep Hitman 2. If you want, also, you do your armor attack from that situation. You can also do you could do that move, your Hitman 4, and that will be a tornado launcher. Pretty much everything I just shown, you can kind of utilize it if you were to have your opponent block a Hitman 1. That's another move I actually like. Hitman 1, sidestep, Hitman 2, Hitman 1, armor. So basically it's like everything you can do when you do the standing 1+2 into Hitman, you can also kind of do it by simply utilizing Hitman 1. Hitman 1 into Hitman 4. Hitman 1, sidestep Hitman 2. Hitman 1, armor crush. Hitman 1, the heat engager. These moves have a lot of utility to them, you know, so I personally really do like the standing 1+2 and Hitman transition. I think it's very, very strong in my opinion. just kind of staying with Hitman, one of the moves that I find really interesting is this move here. This move has so much range. It's actually quite surprising. Let me see. I think it's about here. Or is it a little bit closer? So even here, that is ridiculous range. And the fact that this move, while it comes out at 25 frames, 26 frames, you're +5 on block. It puts your opponent in a while standing position. And it also does 6 chip damage. Now, one of the criticisms I've heard from the Lee community regarding this move is that on normal hit, it no longer affords you a heat engager opportunity. So what I've learned is those opportunities are still present. It's just that you have to now land this attack on counter. So once it's on counter, this move now becomes +13, giving you the opportunity to either do 4-4-4 or down forward 4-4 like this, and it'll look like this. So you can do that, that's guaranteed, or you can do this, and that's guaranteed. So all of that, those two options are pretty much enabled if you are able to do Hitman up 4 and land on counter hit. Now, of course, if it's not counter hit, you don't get those opportunities, but you still have your opponent in a while standing state and you are +8 and you did 20 damage. So I think that's still pretty solid, because from this position, if they're still mashing, you can do stuff like this. You can do stuff like that. You can just go and do a launch, a regular down forward 2, because at the end of the day, this move is completely safe at -7, so why not use it? So I think it does have a lot of utility. Just be ready to react with your particular heat engager if this move does happen to land on your opponent on counter hit. The next move that I like from Lee, and it's very simple, but it has a lot of utility, is Lee's standing 3. Now this move, by itself, it's completely safe at -8. It comes out at 14 frames and it's a mid. So if your opponent is the type to just do this and just mash in retaliation, Lee can do standing 3-3. That move does 21 damage and you're +1. Personally speaking, it would have been nice if Lee would have been a little bit more on the plus side for landing this move on counter, but that's neither here nor there. Also, you can go for his just frame by doing 3-3. Let me see how many times I need to do this to... There we go, okay. Old legacy timing. Now, what you will notice is if you do 3-3 and your opponent blocks, you are -10. Versus if you go for the just frame, it's -9. So that's done by design. The developers did not want to punish the Lee user for having failed attempts at landing his just frame. So that's the reason why if you do this move, which basically it turns it into a regular high attack, if you do this move, they don't want you to feel like you're being punished for attempting to do the just frame, and if the just frame doesn't come out, they don't want you to be punished every time. That's why they made that version of the move -9. However, when you delay this attack to make it a mid-high on purpose, that's why they made that a -10, so it gives the opponent a reward not pressing buttons, because if he presses buttons after the mid, the high is going to land. So that's basically the anatomy of why that string works the way it does. I don't know if anybody's really explained it that way, but that's basically why it is the way it is. So another thing I do like about Lee's standing 3 is that it can take you into Hitman. So if you just do standing 3 and then 4, which is right kick, it puts you into Hitman. So let's say if Kazuya is mashing buttons, you're gonna block. Unless they attack you low. Now, let's just say, I can just sidestep. If I do it quicker, right? So I have that as an option. Or if I want to be safer and get some chip damage, that's Lee's up 3 from Hitman. can also always go for Hitman 4 out of that situation. You can go for his armor. You can go for his armor attack there. So you do have options. I believe you can even dash forward, because his forward dash is actually has a built-in high crush. So you can do stuff like this if you time it right in between their moves. I do love the utility of that move, and basically, you know, if you play around with it, experiment, I'm pretty sure you'll probably find other uses, but that's all I got for this. Also, you do have down forward 4, which does allow you to go into Hitman as well by just doing down forward 4, 3, and then you can still kind of do a lot of the same tactics as you could with just standing 3 in the Hitman. So bear that in mind as well. Also, down forward 4, 4 is your is a heat engager. So if your opponent is trying to mash like this, the second 4 will be will cause a heat engager. Now, of course, your opponent can duck. That's the mind game, because if they happen to duck like this, you know, that part will whiff. So that's the mind game where, okay, well, if I know you're gonna duck, I can just go into Hitman and then just kind of threaten from there. So it's all about how the flow of your match is going, how well you're conditioning your opponent, and all those other things. So your mileage will vary with this, but you know, give all these moves a chance. And so let me move on to the next segment. So if you look at back 4 from Lee, this is a homing attack that's high. It's a very good move. So back 4 Lee that's 19 frames. Back 4 is 20 frames. Standing 1+2 is 21 frames, and up 4 both kicks is 22. So basically we have 19, 20, 21, 22. I always thought that's pretty interesting. And each of those moves serves a certain purpose. So for instance, if you're doing back 4, I really like this move because if you make the read and your opponent is stepping, they will get knocked down on normal hit for a full combo. So for instance, if we have him just to sidewalk left, so that's a full combo. So you get a full combo because your opponent just so happened to sidestep. So I think that's a very strong move. Now, of course, the criticism people will say is, oh, it's a high attack. So is an electric wing god fist. Like, I mean, with some people you just can't win. Some people will, and I'm sure you've ever been in an argument with somebody and they just keep moving the goalposts further and further away. So it's like you can't win with these people. So I do feel that this is a solid move. Now, of course, if they just so happen to want to duck, right? So if you do the same situation and they're crouching, you do your your back 4. Why? Because back 4 comes out at 20. This comes out at 19. So sure, I could just go for up forward 4. I could do that. I could go for this as well, you know. But this is unsafe. And this comes out kind of slow. So if I want to just kind of maintain that true mix, right? Because this is 19 and this is 20. That means my opponent only has 1 frame to decide which attack is going to show. They only have 1. So they can't just look at one attack, make a decision, but oh, now here's this attack, I'm going to make this decision. That's what you call fuzzy guarding. And that happens when there's several frames that one move has over the other. So if you have one move that's 20 frames, but you're mixing with a move that's 28 frames, you have 8 frames of your opponent that's able to make a different defensive choice. That's fuzzy guarding. So to eliminate fuzzy guarding, you reduce the amount of frames from one move to the next. So in this case, you have back 4 versus back 4. It's only 1 frame difference. So if they're going to duck this, that means they're going to get caught by this. If they're standing for this, which is back 4, that means they're going to be standing for the back 4. That's really all that means. And the reason why I kind of went in depth here is because That is the crux of how I approach any character in this game, and how I feel that you should do as well. Because, for instance, if you look at Jin Kazama, I know he's not on the screen, or actually no, Kazuya. Let's look at Kazuya for really fast, really quick. Look at Kazuya. Kazuya has down back 4, which is 20 frames, and he also has down back 2, which is 20 frames. It's the exact same startup. So if you're thinking Kazuya is going to do down back 4, and he instead does down back 2, you're going to get hit by the down back 2. So basically it's the same premise. So that's how I always look at characters and why I look at moves in isolation. Because when you look at moves in isolation, you're able to see what that move can do on block, on hit, if they're going low, high, mid, and then what is the move I can use to pair it together with. In this situation, we got back 4, right? And you could also utilize standing 1+2 because it's 21 frames. Utilizing, say, down back 3, right? That's 20 frames. So basically we're in line with our frames here. So down back 3 is 20. Back 4 is 20. You can have a situation where you're threatening with your down back 3 with Lee, but then your opponent is ducking, they get hit with a back 4. Or they're ducking, they get hit with a standing 1+2, and you can go into Hitman, and now you're +6 on that situation. I do also like this move. It seems a lot of Lee players will complain and say, oh, this move sucks. But you gotta understand, this is a 22 frame attack. And yes, it is high. Yes, it is linear, as it should be. A flying kick should not have the ability to change its trajectory because you sidestep. So, like, it's just ridiculous. So the move should be able to be sidestepped. But I do love its range. I think it does have a very generous range because it has 2 additional active frames. So I do think it's very strong. Now, if you happen to land after using this move in Hitman, you're at +8. So if your opponent is not respecting the +8 frames, you do get a trade opportunity by utilizing your armor attack, which looks like this. So at this point, that's a trade that's 100% in your favor. So you took 25 damage and Kazuya took 6 from you. So that's a trade I will take any day of the week. After this, you can just simply do back 3-3 like you normally would. And you get a full combo. Now, let's just say if your opponent chooses to not press buttons, which, you know, because they want to start respecting it, no problem. So now you're in this situation, which is very advantageous for you. Now, for those people that will say, well, I'm just going to duck this move. I'm just going to duck up forward 3+4. You know another move that's also 22 frames? Jin's down 2. And we see how many people duck that on reaction. So it's not a move that is easily ducked. It's not like you're blocking a Brian Snake Edge, you know? So 22 frames is pretty solid. It's pretty solid. Now, of course, if you're really predictable with this, then yeah, you know, but if your opponent just happens to make the read, it is what it is. But if you're just mixing it up, you know, mixing up your strikes, your pokes, and then just throw it out there, and you get your +5 advantage, or +8 if you go into Hitman, I think it's a sizable move to utilize. Of course, if you want, you can instead just do something different, and that's fine too. But I just think that this move has a purpose, and I feel if you mix it in properly, you know, it will help you out. So another move that has some serious utility is actually, I should have put it in the poke category, which is 2-1. I really like this move because as a Steve Fox user, I love 2-1 into peekaboo stance. So when I look at this stance, this move here, 2-1 from Lee, this is a safe attack. So you don't have to worry about your opponent trying to retaliate. This move has 3 follow-ups, and each of them have a use. So for instance, if you do 2-1-1, you'll notice that the 1 is essentially standing 1+2. It's basically the same move. Either way, it's not really much of a difference because they still have the same counter hit property. Pick your opponent up, do your combo. This is like the only combo I know so far. Don't judge me. If your opponent decides to not duck, but they're still mashing, you can do this. Now, the interesting thing about each of these follow-ups is 214 will give you a counter hit combo opportunity, and 213 will also give you a counter hit combo opportunity. Of these options, you do have 214. Now, 214 is launch punishable, but it does have an interesting property that out of all of these attacks, it's the only one that you can delay. So you cannot delay 2-1-1. You cannot delay 2-1-3. You have to commit to it. But you can delay 2-1-4. Look at the delay. That's a crazy delay. And then on counter hit, you get a guaranteed heat engager follow-up. There we go. I'm still getting used to the timing. I always suggest if you're going to use something that could be launch punishable, use it early on in the round. That's in my opinion, because if your opponent happens to make the read, at least you won't lose the round for it. Or if you're in tournament, you won't be sent to the losers bracket. And if it works, good, but if it doesn't, you have the life to kind of sustain the damage. So I do really like this move, and I think it's well worth using. For instance, let's say if you do 2-1-4, it is -12, but that's a slap on the wrist. Just use the move. Now this move, of course, is safe at -4, but they can duck. So that's the mind game. Are you going to duck this attack and potentially get hit by this? Are you going to mash to where I'm going to hit you with either this option or this option? So basically 2-1 has a lot of utility for Lee, and you can also go into Hitman from it and you're at +5. So you can also do that as well. So basically if you're doing a situation, if you're in a situation where your opponent is no longer mashing buttons because they're afraid to get hit with these counter hit options, then that's where if you make the read, you can just simply do 2-1 into Hitman. So 2-1 into Hitman, you're going to be punished. But I guess that lends to the mind game, because now it's like, all right, if I know you're going to try to stop me from going into Hitman, that opens you up to potentially get counter hitted utilizing this. And also you can just do 2-1 and not do nothing and you're safe. So all of that is a lot to take in, but just think of that. Everything I just said is based off of just doing a 2-1. So that's when you know a move has a lot of utility. Now, another combination of moves I absolutely love with Lee is the combo of 4-4-2 and 4-4-3. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but suffice to say, you have a high attack that's coming out at 15 frames, does 6 chip damage minimum, does 10 chip damage if you just frame it, and also will allow you to get +5 advantage if you hold forward to go into Lee's dash. A very, very strong move, and based on what I understand, this move was buffed in terms of speed, because I believe the move was I'm not sure if it was either 20 frames or 17 frames. Either way, the move is now 15. Use it. Now you pair this move perfectly with 4-4-3. Now, a lot of Lee players bitch and complain that the pushback of 4-4-3 has been reduced. But then again, so has just about every other character that has a forward button move that does the same thing, which is a mid and a heat engager, and it's safe. So just like Jin, Kazuya, Devil Jin, they've each had their forward button moves reduced for pushback. So it didn't surprise me that they were going to do the same thing with Lee's 4-4-3. But just to put that out there, look, 4-4-3 is still safe at -9. It's still a heat engager. It comes out at 14 frames. I mean, I don't know what you guys really want. I mean, maybe you want it to have armor on top of it, but it's still a very strong technique. When paired together with 4-4-2, Now, of course, people will say, well, you know, I can just sidestep both options. Okay, yeah, you can sidestep both options, right? You can sidestep 4-4-2. You can sidestep 4-4-3. But you know what? You're not sidestepping that move. You know what? You're not sidestepping that move. Oh, and also on top of that, if you just so happen to want to do that. Oh, thank you for the combo. I appreciate it. So just because you wanted the sidestep, that sets you up for that. So I think, in my opinion, I understand the grievances that Lee players have, but you just have to use what the character has. And you know, maybe you might have to work a little bit harder than, say, somebody using Nina. But of course, I mean, she's an apex character, right? Or somebody like that's brain dead, like Alyssa. You know, like, unfortunately, sometimes you just gonna have to put in a little bit more effort. I mean, I know that more than many because I spent pretty much 25 plus years competing using Lei in a game in Tekken 4 and Tekken 5 where he was absolute dog shit. So I know a thing or two about using a character where you have to work, believe me. But, you know, it's possible. And this version of Lee, in my opinion, I mean, he's definitely not the best character in the game. And if you still want to feel he's the worst character in the game, but the character still has viable tools, you just have to put a little work into him. You know what I'm saying? Go in the lab, you know, work with him, you know, because, yeah, you know, you can sidestep this, you sidestep that. If your opponent happens to make a good read on you, it is what it is. But let's not act like Lee does not have very strong homing moves. I mean, this right here is it's safe. Like, it's literally a safe homing mid attack. You know what I'm saying? That gives you a very strong transition into Hitman. Let's not talk about that, okay, you have a 19 frame homing attack that gives you a full combo. And if they block it, it does decent shit at 6. And you're also +2. So, I mean, I'm just saying, Lee has tools. He's not the best character in the game. If you have the opinion that he's the worst character in the game, I can agree to disagree. But I will just say, the man has tools. Just expand your horizon. That's what I'm saying to the Lee community. You know what I'm saying? Because the character does good damage. He has good pokes. I will definitely say again, try to get away from pouring this move out because, in my opinion, down back 3 is a better overall low. You won't die if your opponent ducks. So if your opponent ducks this low, you're not gonna die. Okay, if they duck this move, you die. So just bear that in mind. And also, again, you can sidestep. You know, you can kind of do other things. You know. You have different options, you know, so down back 3, very strong attack. But anyway, I'm not the foremost expert with Lee, but the things I have figured out, I kind of do like. Also, another move I forgot to mention, I really like this move. It looks flashy as hell. I like this. This move comes with its own set of mind games because much like 2-1, how I broke that down, you have while standing 1, which puts you automatically into Hitman apparently. I guess I can hold down, I guess it cancels. But yeah, so when you just let it rock, it puts you into Hitman at -2. Which is good, because it's essentially like you just did Hitman 1-1, and that's also -2. So looking at this move, it's not a jailing strike, so your opponent can duck. But if that's what they're looking to do, you could just sit there in Hitman. Now you can't. Can you delay this? Oh, you can delay it. So you can delay this move. Wow, look at this. So look at that. Oh wow. Okay, I just figured something out just in the video. So so if your opponent is trying to duck like this, and you can delay it. Look at that. That's pretty cool. I don't know how viable that is, but you know, but I do like that if your opponent is mashing, it is a counter hit at +7. If you happen to dash forward by holding forward, it becomes plus 11. Free heat engager also on top of that. Oh, come on, Red. There we go. So yeah, I do like that. I think it's pretty cool. And also, if they're mashing and you're in Hitman, you can actually block. So I think that's pretty cool too. Can I do an armor attack? Yep. But he'll block, so... Okay, he recovers in time. Okay, you can also do the Hitman 4. That's pretty good. Oh, I can sidestep off. Alright. Do that. Alright, mixed up. So basically, if they're looking to mash, you can sidestep out of Hitman and go to your other options. Or if you know they're mashing, hit them with that move, and then you utilize your plus frames from there. If you are holding forward, like I showed earlier, you could do your heat engager. So I think, yeah, I think that's also a very good sequence of moves as well. It definitely has a lot of utility. And I mean, there's so many other moves you can kind of get into. Put all these moves together in the lab, you know, see what other things you can come up with. Now I know damn well that is not everything for the character. I'm still learning, I'm still picking things up, so I apologize if this video was a little all over the place. I'm still figuring him out. I kind of like him a little bit. I don't know if I'll main him. My mains right now are Raven and Fang and Steve. A little bit of Brian and Nina. But so far, I kind of like how Lee is, because, I mean, I've been playing this game for 30 years. I've never liked the Lee character. I've never liked this character. But I kind of like his outfits. I like his moves. You know, it's pretty cool. So hopefully, you know, you enjoyed the video. You may or may not have learned something. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section, and let's spark a dialogue. Subscribe if you're new. And I guess I'm gonna have to create a video on the latest patch that just came out, so I'm dreading that. But anyway, I'm out. Take care. Peace.